New France was a vast colony established by France in North America that spanned parts of modern-day Canada, the United States, and even regions of Louisiana. From its founding in the early 17th century to its loss to Britain in the mid-18th century, New France played a critical role in shaping both French colonial history and the development of North America. Its economy, cultural impact, and complex relationships with indigenous peoples left a lasting legacy. Establishment of New France. New France was officially founded in 1534 by Jacques Cartier, a French explorer who first arrived on the shores of the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Cartier's voyages led to the establishment of French claims over the territory, but it wasn't until Samuel de Champlain arrived in 1608 that a permanent French settlement, Quebec, was established. Champlain, often considered the father of New France, was a key figure in the early growth of the colony. He laid the foundation for the expansion of French influence in North America, founding the city of Quebec, which would become the administrative and cultural capital of New France. The French colony's initial focus was on trade, particularly the lucrative fur trade. New France was located in a region rich in natural resources, and the French sought to capitalize on the fur trade with indigenous peoples, particularly the Huron and Algonquin tribes, who were integral partners in the fur trading network. Unlike the English, who focused on agricultural settlements, the French relied on trading posts and small settlements for their economic success. Expansion of New France. In the early 17th century, New France expanded both geographically and economically. French settlers or habitants moved south and west from Quebec, founding new settlements along the St. Lawrence River, in areas like Montreal and Three Rivers. The French also extended their reach into the Great Lakes, Ohio River Valley and Mississippi River Valley, marking the expansion of French territory into the heart of North America. In the 1680s, Robert Cavelier de La Salle famously explored the Mississippi River and claimed the entire river basin for France, naming it Louisiana in honor of Louis XIV. New France's territory thus stretched from the Gulf of St. Lawrence down to the Gulf of Mexico and from the Atlantic Ocean to the Rocky Mountains, covering a vast expanse of land. Relationship with indigenous peoples. One of the key features of French colonialism was its relatively cooperative relationship with indigenous peoples compared to the English. The French were primarily interested in trade rather than settlement, which allowed for alliances and a level of mutual benefit with various Native American tribes. The French engaged in fur trading, which was dependent on the indigenous knowledge of the land and animal populations. The French also sought to convert indigenous peoples to Catholicism, and missions were established throughout New France, particularly by Jesuit missionaries. Despite these religious efforts, the French tended to show more respect for indigenous cultures than other European colonizers, leading to more enduring alliances. However, these relationships were also fraught with competition and conflict. The French often found themselves embroiled in conflicts between different indigenous groups, as well as with other European powers like the British. The decline of New France. The rise of New France came at the expense of increasing tension with Britain, which was rapidly expanding its colonies along the eastern seaboard of North America. The growing British presence threatened French interests in the region, leading to a series of wars between the two empires. The most significant of these was the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, which was part of the broader 7 Years' War. The war ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1763, which resulted in France ceding almost all of its North American territories to Britain. France lost Canada, including Quebec and Montreal, and its holdings in the Ohio River Valley in Louisiana. The French were forced to give up their possessions in North America, marking the end of New France as a political entity. Legacy of New France. While the political control of New France ended in 1763, its cultural and social legacy remains significant. The French-speaking population in Canada, known as Québécois, continues to maintain a distinct cultural identity today, and French remains one of the official languages of Canada. In addition, the legacy of French exploration and settlement in North America is still evident in place names, architecture, and culture. Cities like Montreal and Quebec City retain a French influence, and the French language and customs are deeply rooted in these areas. The French also left a lasting mark on the region's legal system and governance, particularly in the areas they controlled, such as Louisiana and parts of Canada. In Louisiana, French legal traditions and language continue to influence the state today. New France was a pivotal chapter in the history of European colonization in North America. Although its time as a colonial power was short, its contributions to the cultural, economic, and social development of the continent are still evident. The colony's complex relationship with Indigenous peoples, focus on the fur trade, and the eventual conflict with British imperial interests all helped shape the trajectory of North American history. Despite its fall, the legacy of New France continues to live on, particularly in the French-speaking regions of Canada and the United States.